Good morning, everyone. Today we're here to discuss the topic, the reading that confused me. With Shaima Samara, an English teacher from Palestine, Gaza, who's going to share with us her experiences of engaging with the literature and beginning her research journey from a pilot study to then moving forward to her dissertation journey. Shaima, hi, how are you?
Hi Nahielly, how are you? Are you doing well? Hi everyone. Just let me thank you so much for having me today to share my experience. I'm Shaima. I'm from Palestine, Gaza, and I'm a teacher of English language and M8 TESOL alumna from the University of Manchester. Um, I'm with you today to share my experience about my first initial research journey, which was done during my second semester of the TESOL program. It was about developing researcher competence. And as Koreana, we were encouraged to be curious and to explore our curiosities in our specific context so that we can arrive at a solution or maybe to a new puzzle. So I started actually looking at my context, a context shaped by war, ongoing traumas, and aggressions. And as a teacher who's always responsible on the front line to sustain education and such circumstances, I was thinking about my students and how can I keep them engaged in the educational process and in acquiring a new language, but at the same time in a meaningful, fun, enjoyable way. Um, During this journey of MA, I've done a lot of reading about different topics, but one of the topics that actually sparked my attention and my curiosity was digital games. So I decided to go to the literature and start exploring the literature about the use of digital games in conflict and um, crisis affected contexts such as the Gaza Strip. However, this reading led me to think about the context and not just about the students themselves, about the teachers. If we are to change anything, we need to think about teachers. So I thought about exploring the teachers' beliefs about the use of this alien digital tool in our context. And then we can think about incorporating this topic. In my mind, I had this belief that teachers are not knowledgeable about this thing. So I needed to do this in order to affirm my beliefs. A journey full of being lost, frustrated, and confused. But at the same time is really tight. I don't want to fall behind. I need to submit on time. So I had to take loads of steps forward so that I can carry on and conduct this pilot study. And I've conducted this pilot study. I've interviewed a teacher who actually was very knowledgeable about digital games. This conclusion of the pilot study encouraged me to take this topic further to my dissertation. I actually thought about it and I said that I don't want to do a lot of readings. I need to be kind to my mind. And therefore, I've done this reading and I will just do more exploration about the topic and then conduct the final dissertation. I've started doing readings about the use of digital games in conflict and crisis affected contexts, such as Iraq and other, neighboring countries, as well as Western contexts, and how they actually utilized games to engage students. However, due to the circumstances in my context, I couldn't reach teachers. So I had to do another round of reading so that I can, decide what should I do in my final dissertation. I thought about my students who are trying to preserve the language that they have tried very hard to learn in such horrific circumstances. What are the tools that they are using? And I thought about the use of the use of mobile technology in this context. So I started exploring the literature about mobile technology. However, I thought that I'm really lost. Right now, I'm really lost because there are so many publications about mobile technology, and I wasn't able to focus my topic. At this point, I reached out to my supervisor and I told him, like, I've done this reading, but I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how can I use this reading to do my research. And the advice was, if you're going to constrain yourself in one technological tool, then you are missing a lot of things in your complex, fragile context. Why not focusing on technology in general? I thought about it and I felt, okay, I will go and explore the literature about technology. I decided to proceed with this topic. However, due to ethical consideration, I wasn't able to proceed as well. At this point, my brain couldn't function anymore, and I was frustrated. What should I do with all of what I've read? Um, However, I went back to my notes and I started synthesizing the literature. Um, During this process, I identified some problems in my context, and I decided to address these challenges and these critical gaps in one piece of research. But how can I do so? The context is really complex, loads of issues, starting from teacher development programs, digital literacy, traumatized students, humanizing pedagogies, materials. How should I do this? At this point, I said that I need to address these gaps, but how? I don't know. I need to go to the literature again and find something to help me put all of the bodies of knowledge that I've, gained from the literature. And I found a framework that can help me and guide the organization of this dissertation. Uh, the focus of this dissertation was, of course, teachers, who I believe are always on the front line to sustain education. I used a framework to organize a workshop that addressed three critical bodies of knowledge: content knowledge, technological knowledge, and pedagogical knowledge. And the content knowledge for me, in my context, was a trauma. We are always resilient because we have no other options but to do so. But at some point, we need to deal with our students as a human being so that they can engage with the educational process. After exploring trauma and its impact on the second language acquisition process, I've thought about technology and what is the role of technology in a context that have lost all of the physical educational institutions? So technology becomes the lifeline to sustain education. So how can we use technology? And then the role of these digital tools, which I have explored through the readings. I said, like, okay, teachers now they have these two bodies of knowledge, but how can they translate this body of knowledge? They need an outline. How can we design our materials to be trauma informed, and how can we translate this knowledge to be responsive to the gaps, to the challenges our students encounter? I've presented what I've done in a conference to my professors, and I received some comments about what I've been doing, and some of the comments was that what you're doing is not a practical dissertation, it's something conceptual. You're dealing with theories. So at this point, I started to be frustrated. I couldn't understand what I'm doing. I don't know how can I conclude this dissertation. So I went back to the literature and started critiquing the framework and saying that it's not gonna be a panacea in a context shaped by conflict and complexities and lack of resources. And I've finished here. But I reflected again and I said, like, teachers as in this context as students are traumatized. They are grappling with loads of challenges, emotional and cognitive challenges, but they are trying. If we are to design any initiatives for teachers, we need also to address their needs, their cognitive and emotional needs. And here a new round of readings started. I started exploring the literature about teacher education and how can we design initiatives for teachers that actually address the gaps, address the critical and emotional challenges they might face during acquiring the bodies of knowledge I intended to deliver to teachers. And I started framing principles that can be used to underpin such initiatives. This was my research journey, a journey full of readings and reflecting on the readings and then linking it to my experience and my context. I arrived at this point at a topic which is trauma-informed technology-enhanced pedagogy, a TPAC approach, which is the framework that was used in order to organize the whole dissertation.
That's all very interesting. Um, so, what are your key takeaways from this process of engaging with literature and writing and articulating your ideas with your supervisor, presenting in a conference, very proactive in the way you are engaging with the literature? What are your key takeaways?
Actually, as someone who is impatient and who wants everything to be perfect, I arrived at a conclusion that research, as our behavior, which is unpredictable, so is to the research process. You can't predict the conclusion. You can't affirm your beliefs. You might arrive at a solution. You might arrive at a puzzle. There's no single way to conduct the research. There is no single right way. You might lose the way, but you will find a way at the end of the day. Um, Roads and are always unclear, but at the end of the day, you're gonna survive. From this experience as well, I learned that nothing is abstract. What you read is not abstract. You can link it to your experience and your context so that you can make use of this knowledge, um, and so that you can make use of this knowledge and contribute to your context, which lack this knowledge.
I really love this concluding thoughts of you because it does teach us to be patient. You know, you said you were not patient, but then you learn to be patient. You also learn to accept that this a complex journey is not a journey that it takes you from A to B. So that is just a reflection of the reality of engaging with academic texts, but also engaging with research. Thank you very much, uh, Shaima, for your time, and I hope our HARRP members enjoy this audio podcast.
Thank you so much, Nahielly, for having me, and I hope that my experience aligned with your experience and that we are all together in this journey. We're always lost, but at the end of the day, we can find a way and shape a way that is that aligns with our contexts and our experiences. Um, and yeah.
Yeah, make reading meaningful. I like that, when you link to your experiences and your context, then everything has a meaning.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see each other soon.